hands together for the record winner. For the second winner this year, Rats Morgan Spurlock.
There's so many awesome people in the audience tonight that I want to bring down to come to the stage. How about all of my amazing producers? How about Josh Braun, Dan Braun? How about Mr. Hoffman, John Hoffman from Discovery? Come on down, our team. My amazing producer partner, Jeremy Kilnick. Our amazing DP, Vivica Pepper, where's he? Here to call, the editor and composer of this movie. Kyle Clayton, come down. Ed Sheehan, come on. Everybody come down. All our Rats crew, come up on stage. This is my incredible Rat family. I haven't forgotten anybody in the audience, my Rat family, did I? Gotta make sure. Let's open for questions.
Well, you got a friend here? Do you have a special guest?
The special guest, Ed Sheehan! The amazing Ed Sheehan! So this is the first time Ed's seen the film. So what do you think?
I thought it was very informative for me. I realize I'm coming back as a rat, seems fair. And then I guess again as a human. I think one point that was made, and I was talking about the poisons, how we're killing them, we're never going to get rid of them. The only way you're really going to get them under control is if you educate the public about how we put out our garbage, how we handle our sewers and stuff like that. And our politicians, I don't know about up here, you had a wonderful mayor that I love dearly, Mr. Ford, who has departed, my kind of guy. Unfortunately, we don't have a New York City, we have Mr. de Blasio. But these politicians, they start these rat campaigns, and they do it for 4 or 5 weeks, and then they get some press in the paper, and that's the end of it. And of course, they get some press in the paper, and that's it. And maybe someone that's councilman, New York City councilman, he now runs, and now he gets to steal more money up in Albany because he allegedly got rid of the rats, which, quite frankly, is bullshit. What happened? Rats hit. It's like a wave hitting the beach. You go to the beach, a wave hits, so we poison, the wave goes out. We don't continue. As you saw what I said there in the film, you got to keep after them every day, day in, day out. That's the only way you're going to keep them under control, and we have to control our garbage.
Is there anything to reproduction?
As what?
Controlling reproduction of rats. It's like,
you know what?
they control rabies by basically baiting, or not baiting, but basically putting in also vaccines into weed and stuff like that, and all over the place. So why would they birth control? Sterilization.
Kind of hard to do. They have such a wide variety of food that we can't get to all of their food. You're putting out, someone is putting, I'm not singling you out. Someone in New York City is putting out garbage. They don't have the birth control in that garbage. So what do? We take poison and we put the birth control process in the poison. Do they eat our poison or not? You have to realize rats are very suspicious. When we put something out that's new, they get this one rat, he's weak, his name is Mikey. They tell Mikey, go eat that. If Mikey dies, they're not going to eat it. So our poisons don't affect them for like 3 to 5 days. When you put out garbage, they're used to garbage. They've been eating it for years and years, so they're going to eat that right away. They've worked at it in a lab, but a lab is not the streets of New York City or the streets of Toronto or whatever street. So I'd say there's a very low light under that. Right now, they're thinking of more humane, more expensive, more money in our pocket, ways to get rid of them. And there's a trap. It's about this big, and they walk up a ladder, and there's bait, whatever they like to eat. They walk across this platform and it collapses. And there's some kind of fluid in there, oil and something else, and it drowns them. And then the number 1 goes up. And and then when another one goes up, the number 2 goes up. And they're working on it. You can have it fixed up to your iPhone. You register like 63 Word Street, 2 rats. Send somebody over to empty the traps out. There's all different things that are coming up. And the one thing I would take issue with, they have built up a tolerance to some of the poison, but we're constantly getting fed new poison. My favorite now is First Strike. Very effective. So, yes, they're evolving, but we in the pest control industry are also evolving. Yeah, we're trying to stay a step ahead. You want to know why? Well, yeah, we have people that work in office buildings, and they sit on the edge of Central Park on 5th Avenue, very lovely. You have the carriage horses going by, all these Ritz, all nice cars, Mercedes, all these, and they're eating their lunch, and they only finish half of it, and they throw the rest in the park. And if you go on the other side of that wall, you'll see rat burrows. That's because we're feeding them. We're very good to them. That's why you saw them there. Where? What ballpark? Shea Stadium? Oh, yeah, okay, so it's an open field there. People eat there all the time. They take their big, it's just, maybe the Parks Department doesn't pick up the food properly, you don't take the food out in a timely fashion. They're there. They don't need a lot to eat, but they're there. We have to be more conscious of what we do with our waste. Once we do that, they'll start to go down. And as I commented in the film, when I had them in my little experiment, as we took away some food, as we took away some water, they started to cannibalize each other. The stress, the homosexuality took place, so they weren't reproducing as well anymore. So we can do a lot without poison, but we have to alter the way we live and dispose of our garbage.
For our cinematographer, the brilliant Luca Del Peppo.
You got some of those amazing aerial shots, and that's drones? Like, some really stellar stuff going on.
That was actually just, we had this 3DR drone, was it? That was a kind of a backpack, so we were able to bring that with us everywhere. That was kind of Morgan's idea in doing. So we wrecked one of them, we had 2 of them. We flew one right into a tree, and we kind of learned how to pilot it.
There was a very quick learning curve for us. We got 2 sent to us for free. We're like, that's awesome. And then about like a week and a half into shooting, we're like, fuck, now we only got 1. We gotta be a little better at this. And
if you see in fact, in Reading in England, we kind of flew by that tree pretty close.
we were very lucky on that shot. And it was not long after that we flew another one actually into a tree.
Same thing happened in the Blair Witch.
Yes. They've also grown that way too. The connections. You never thought that was the beginning of that. So, okay, so how did you choose what stories and where to go? Because, I mean, I saw this in several kind of versions and things were getting changed and worked around. Was there something that you wanted to put in or go that you weren't able to, or that you actually did capture? Or can you talk about that process?
I think that once we started kind of putting together pieces of the storyline, we saw like an arc that was developing and links in the chain that kind of connected from story to story to story. And what you start to find in the edit is you find the film. Films like this, documentaries are made in the edit room. And as you start putting a movie like this together where we had, what was the total number, how many hours of footage, Pierre, was the total? Lots. 400, so you saw like 90 minutes of 400 hours of footage. And so as you start putting a film like this together, you start going down the maze of what makes sense, and things that you suddenly thought was a great idea, you kind of leave by the wayside, and things that work better, you kind of pull back on. And as we just continue to put this film together, the things we shot in Paris, you see in the beginning of us, you see us in a sewer. We couldn't get into the sewers in New York City. We wanted to shoot in the sewers in New York City so badly. and they wouldn't let us in. The city wouldn't let us in. They're like, you're not going to shoot in the subways, you're not going to shoot in the sewers. So we said we have to find a country where we can shoot in the sewers and the subways. Paris let us shoot in both. Once we went and shot in Paris, God bless those crazy Parisians. Once we got there and we shot in the sewers and in the subways of Paris, we had this amazing thing that there wasn't actually a great story. It was awesome when we were in the sewers, but there wasn't a good enough story that kind of paid off for us in a way that was more valuable. I mean, it was disgusting and fantastic, and you're in the middle of just like shit getting flushed down out of buildings, and you are literally wandering through like up to your knees in excrement from human beings, in like backpacks and suits, and you're Luke and I in like Tyvek suits in these sewers wandering through, and there are rats all over in the sewer system, and you're in there and you're filming it. This is amazing. I don't know how this fits into the movie, but you're in there and you're like, this is going to be awesome in the film, and then we start putting it together in the edit room, and you're like, this just doesn't make any sense. So there's those little things that you spend, and we spent an entire day wandering through the sewage of Paris, and you're like, why couldn't we figure out a way to put that in the movie? So I felt like it was worth it, but at least we have a great story out of it. Yeah, so there's things like that you shoot and you think will work out, but never do.
Can you confirm, is barbecued rat sweeter than chicken?
None of us actually chose to eat the rat.
They look delicious, but unfortunately we shot the New Orleans portion before that, so we know exactly what comes out of rats.
Yeah.
So as good as they look.
And as a hillbilly who grew up eating squirrel in West Virginia, I feel like I've kind of already been there, and I was like, and when you're there shooting on the ground, you're like, we only have like 2 days on the ground. We really want to like do something that could potentially ruin half of that time, and like where one of us is sick. Yeah, so we chose not to.
Yeah, I just had to run out during the screening and take care of a little emergency, and I ran into one of my friends who does these amazing little pop-up kitchens all over the place. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I was in Rats. I'm learning too much. I can't do, it's great, but as soon as they went into the food stuff, he checked out. So, what else do we have here? Yes, the plaid shirt.
What do they do with the ones that die? Yeah. Like the ones that pass on? Yeah. That's a great question. I don't even think we went there. I feel like they just let them disintegrate?
They turn them into the state.
The ones that die in the temple?
The temple ones.
Oh, in the temple?
No, the ones in the temple.
The ones in the temple are consumed by the other rats.
Yeah, because ultimately rats in a situation will just eat other rats. And so, there were bodies that were there. You saw dead rats. If you look in that shot, you see plenty of rats that aren't moving, that are dead on the ground, but they never let go in and clean them up, take care of them. Kind of nature does that.
Yes, on the side there. So repeat the question?
No, I was going to say, so the question was, when did we decide to make it kind of like a horror film, which that was very early on. This is the minute Josh Braun, it was Josh and David, and Dan, who had optioned the book, and Stanley Buckdahl, who said, we've got this book, it's amazing, what do you think? They got Mr. Hoffman from Discovery to like jump on board, and they said, what do you think? And I was like, I'm in, I'm 100% on board, let's make this awesome movie. We wanted to make it a horror film kind of from day one, and make it feel like a horror film, so we shot it like a horror film. So the whole idea from the beginning was to use shadows, make it very dark, get you into rat situations, shoot from rat POVs as much as possible, put you in places that would make you feel more uncomfortable. And then the score, which let's have a mad round of applause here at the hall. The brilliant editor and brilliant composer for the film, like Pierre, who is a genius and an incredible human being, will like edit all day and then go home at night and score and edit while he's at home, and then come back and edit more in the morning for the stuff he scored while he was at home. I mean, it's just part of his DNA. Like, I love the way he works. It makes me so happy. And Jeremy, my producing partner, and I, we talked about what we wanted the film to be, and I'll have Jeremy talk about the score a little bit. but we wanted it to really live in a place that felt retro, that felt like the horror films that I grew up watching, that felt like the things that we all kind of relate to, and I think that has this real heartbeat of the movies that inspired me to want to make movies, and well, Jeremy touched on that too.
Me and
You
Pierre
got it?
also who
Yeah.
made music. I'll pass it over to Pierre and talk about actually composing it. For me, I like Cliff Martinez very much, and I think that's really kind of what I drew from when we started. When you're doing it at it, you don't, especially a doc, you don't really have the luxury of having a music editor who's really picking out music for you. So a lot of it is just the three of us in the room thinking about it. We used some tracks for that to start with, and then that's what our guide is, and then Pierre goes home and just does his
I
magic.
think it's Pierre-rific. So Pierre, let's have you talk about the music a little bit.
Well, it's really the sum of everything that's always been an inspiration to me since I was 4 years old. And I don't know, my dad had thought I was going to be a concert pianist. And I just got my first synthesizer and I realized that was never going to happen. And so this was basically that. It was that, and combined with a flood in my apartment, which limited me to a 2-octave keyboard. And so I was forced to, and with knobs. So I was able to do filter sweeps, and just basically use sound as sculpture. And since editing is sculpture, goes together, and the photography also inspired it a lot. The photography is dark, music sort of mirrored that. All came together, all aligned.
And I'd like to point out, like on the just the subject of when did they decide to kind of do it as a horror game, is that Josh and Dan, they are the guys responsible for first telling me about All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. They've actually got a good history with Midnight Madness, and also you guys were involved in Lords of Salem as well. So these two guys know a thing or two about horror films. We had a conversation where it's like, there's this film, but the actress in it, you're going to remember her. Her name's Amber Heard. And lo and behold, certainly know her now. All right, we've got to wrap this up because we got to bring some exterminators in. Put your hands together for Rats!